name is Deborah Ince. I am here giving you a brief verbal report on my case study in the plan change process of Good Jobs Missoula and its interventions. The first thing I'll do is give you a brief overview of my case study. The second part, I will go through each phase of the change process, one being engagement, two being assessment, three being intervention, and the fourth being evaluation. In each of these phases, I used theories to help guide my thinking and help me understand my clients, and then also understand what best interventions to use. So for my case study, Good Jobs Missoula is a small community organization that started about 2013. It works for non-union workers, mostly food workers is the major aim. Missoula typically has low wages, bad working environments, and workers feel pretty much just disempowered and feel like they have no voice at their workplaces. So the mission of Good Jobs Missoula is to unite food workers in solidarity to improve working conditions throughout Missoula. Approximately in Missoula, there's 18.7% of Missoulians that earn less than $15,000 a year, helping, making it a prime place to do intervention. So to start off, the first phase, which is engagement. Engagement is important because it helps me build a strong relationship with my clients or workers in the community to help understand their needs, give them a voice, and help them be the driving person behind the change. So I use the strengths perspective to analyze Missoula and the workers within Missoula. Part of the strengths is that in Missoula, workers are highly educated and diverse, and is a very active community. People in this community tend to volunteer a lot, are already participating in other community organizations, and there's a lot of civic engagement within the community of Missoula. Also, there is a lot of informal neighbor-to-neighbor contact. So that's just neighbors talking to their neighbors, walking on the sidewalk and seeing somebody they know and talking to them. So this builds a really great environment for a place like Good Jobs Missoula to come in and talk to people and have this kind of open dialogue about how we can improve working conditions. Also, Missoula is owned by a lot of small, locally owned business owners, and a lot of these owners employ their neighbors. So there's already a desire there by businesses to provide good jobs for their neighbors. Some skills that I've used that engage with workers is active listening skills. I've helped conduct interviews, one-on-one interviews with workers, and we sit down and I do a lot of active listening, ask them questions, and seeing where things take us. Within doing that active listening, I do a lot of reflecting back to workers, and then also a lot of prompting. So doing these things help me build a good open dialogue with workers and a relationship that is strong. And this is important because without engagement, we can't move on to assessment or intervention. So, assessment, phase 2. Theories that I use to help me understand and view workers and their working culture in Missoula is the multi-causal oriented explanatory theory. This helped me understand the complexities of social problems that affect the micro, meso, and macro level. So Missoula local economy is based mostly off the University of Missoula, the hospitals, and the service food industry. All these industries are affected by outside sources such as federal funding, policies, and then tourism. So when all these money and coming in from outside sources affects what happens here locally, and then on top of that, oftentimes the local government does not do a good job of enforcing labor laws, and so the workers are kind of the bottom of the system. And so what happens is they all have complaints about wages and work and stuff. They often get ignored. And so in order for them to fight back, there's a lot of limited ways they can do that. And so they generally feel pretty disempowered. So some of the strengths of the workers in this community is that many desire change and are willing to do action. So they're already in the action phase. This means that a lot of them have already volunteered with Good Jobs Missoula. A lot of them have volunteered by doing interviews, and many are actively working in their workplaces to help create change. Also in this community, there's a lot of small organizations within this community, and we have found that many of them are very willing to work together and build professional relationships, creating social capital. So that is a huge strength that we have. Some of the limitations that we have with workers is that some don't even actually are not in the action phase. They're actually still seeing themselves as not deserving. Many not deserving of good wages and a decent place to work. Many have come from low-income families all their life and have never seen better or understand what that looks like. So they don't even know how to ask for it. So it's a lot of work sometimes to help them go through that process and get into empowerment. Also, as far as talking to us and stuff, there are some workers that fear that they'll lose their jobs if they talk to us about how bad their jobs are. So there's that part as well. Also, community change is a really slow process. So it takes time, and a lot of time people can become frustrated because they need results now, they need a better job now, or they need better wages now. And so that long, slow process can be very frustrating. And oftentimes they won't be interested and they'll give up. So that moves us to the intervention phase. Good Jobs Missoula has decided to use a few interventions to affect change within the community. First off, it has a worker council board, which ensures that all of our interventions are led by the workers themselves. That makes sure that we're on track and that we're actually meeting the needs of workers in this community. Broadly, as like an umbrella, Good Jobs Missoula uses the community organizing model. That means that we treat the specific problem, which is the bad food service jobs in the community, and then Good Jobs is working to enhance community assets and build alliances and using collective action to empower workers. Part of the building the community assets, Good Job has created 2 programs. The first one being Photo Voice. The goal of Photo Voice is to empower workers and develop community awareness. So, and the objectives are to meet weekly with workers, develop skills such as writing skills, such as narrating their own life skills, skills like that, and then create pictures of their life, so they're documenting their own life with their pictures, and then creating a story behind these pictures to help express how low wages affect their lives. This follows the empowerment model by giving workers the power to document their own lives and fulfill and tell their own story. Oftentimes, people who are disempowered have their stories told by someone else, so this gives them the power to tell their own stories. The second project Good Jobs Missoula has worked on is the Ethical Guide to Dining. This project is still in works. The goal is to build social capital empowered by engaging workers, consumers, and businesses to raise labor standards in all of Missoula. The objectives of this is to develop this tool, the Ethical Guide to Dining, to create community partners with all different various groups such as the environmental groups and the labor groups. Whole community meetings so workers and other people can come together and talk about the project and also their needs, and then implementing it into the community and making sure people have access to it. This follows the social development model by using specific tactics to change the community to higher levels of social development. So by doing this, we are using a model that will help slowly change the process of thinking about where you go to eat, how are people treating their workers, and relating it back to the consumer and seeing why that is important to their lives. Also in that process is giving businesses the resources to improve their jobs. So we're not just going in and saying, hey, businesses, you have to do better. We're actually giving them tools and skills to make their business better. So that comes to the last phase, which is evaluation. Evaluation is 2 parts. As far as the termination of the project, and then also evaluating the effectiveness of the projects. So termination of PhotoVoice. PhotoVoice currently has already been terminated, and it was terminated because of the predetermined timeline that it met. Also, that it met all of its goals and objectiveness. So the effectiveness. So evaluation tools used is self-reported surveys filled out before and after by the workers. Also meeting the goals, and then both Debbie Florence, who was the director of PhotoVoice, and then me went around and interviewed workers and asked them about their experiences and had them tell us and give client feedback on what if it worked for them. And many did say that it was a useful tool in their lives and helped empower them in their daily lives. And then next is the ethical guide. This has not been terminated and will be terminated based off effectiveness and funding. So, and the evaluation tools used are client self-reporting. What we'll do is we'll go around and interview workers, consumers, and businesses and have them give us feedback on how effective the tool is. And then also we're going to do evaluation of goals and objectives by the social worker or community organizer. So that is the plan change process of the interventions of Good Jobs Missoula. Yeah, thank you for listening.